Okay.
Okay,
Nice
that's louder. Okay.
There's a TV on somewhere.
Not here.
My house,
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
Shame.
Sounds like a soap opera.
I gotta find my water bottle.
Is that better?
Ah,
Okay. Better? Okay.
Okay, now, so I set it to record.
Yep, I see it. It's recording.
And then now how do I get the control part?
I'm gonna sit on my bed while I eat my lunch.
If you are you on a laptop?
Both actually, but yeah.
Okay, so on the if you bring up the participants list, at the bottom of the participants list, it'll have 3 buttons. One will say mute all, one will say unmute all.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. And then through that participant list, you can, you know, you'll see who's muted, who's unmuted. You can unmute people.
So if I say mute all, can they unmute themselves?
Yes, it'll bring up a prompt that'll have a checkbox that'll say give participant the chance to unmute themselves. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it open for now.
Yeah.
We'll behave ourselves.
Hello. Hi.
Sonny, how are you?
Hi, Judy. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
We're all good. We're
As
all
good as can be expected.
That's right.
As long as everybody stays healthy, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
We're trying.
Hi, Reva. How are you?
Hello.
Sent you the information.
Pardon?
I'm Judy, the one who sent you the information.
Judy, thank you so much.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay, very good.
Babette, did you wind up getting 3 emails?
Well, actually, yours did never arrived, and I requested the link also from Jan Sotos, and hers arrived. You know, it's my computer, it's not you.
You've got to give in. I had one that they wouldn't talk to the keyboard, and I finally, every time I went on, I had to restart the computer because it wasn't linking. And finally, I gave up and I bought a
Jan,
new
thank you.
computer.
Well, I get agita with the computer, so I'm delaying getting the new one.
It's scary to go get a new one. I know.
I have agita.
Hi, Shelly. Hi, Rabbi.
Hello.
Welcome. Okay, so at noon, I'll turn it over to Judy, and then she'll.
Second, I just want Layla. There's.
Oh.
Hi there, Layla.
Hi.
Oh, there's Layla. Hi, Layla.
Daddy, hi, Daddy.
Bye, Morris. We miss you.
I miss you guys. It's good to see your faces.
Where are you?
I'm in Park City, Utah, in the side bedroom
hi.
where I won't be
It's
attacked by
probably
dogs.
cooler there.
Yeah, it's pretty hot here too, but
Really?
it cools down.
Well,
Yeah, the whole nation is really pretty hot today.
yeah.
Spoke to Massachusetts today. It was 102.
Yeah, yeah.
New
Yeah,
York
my-
City has a heat wave.
Washington, all 100. It's crazy.
Rabbi, it's so good to see you.
It's good
Where
to see
is-
you, Joan. Yeah.
Hi, Joan. How are you?
Hi.
Rabbi.
Okay.
Shelly, good to see you. How are you?
Good. Now, oh, there you are. It's good to see you, Andre.
Good to
How
see
are you holding up, buddy?
I'm, busy as usual. That's
Yeah.
that's the key
He is
thing.
our rock.
I'm the
Yeah.
busy guy. There's never a shortage of things to do, which is good. And we're trying to do a lot. And right now, I'm just trying to get ready to communicate to our parents, and grandparents how we're going to begin our religious school year. So, which happens in the middle of September. So, I'm very positive about it. I'm very much growth mindset in this age. We're trying to think about with the school what we can do and how we can be creative instead of what are the barriers in our way. How do we navigate around it? And that causes me some sleepless nights, but,
Excuse me, Beth wants to know about closed captioning. What do I need to do?
if every once in a while someone, there should be a button at the bottom.
Yeah, it says
that
assign someone to type or
type it yourself. Yeah, it doesn't do it automatically. That's the downfall of Zoom at the moment, is it does not do it. It doesn't transcribe automatically.
Andre, the button is not on right now.
I don't. It won't come on until until the host activates.
Well, what do I have to activate?
So at the bottom next to the
I have that up.
Yeah, once you click on whoever is going to do the typing, then the button should pop up on Beth's screen, or whoever.
Does someone want to volunteer?
But somebody has to do the typing.
Yes, that's the downfall of Zoom at the moment.
Does somebody want to volunteer?
What are you talking? Type what?
Type the conversation.
Yes.
Oh, you mean to take minutes, you're saying? Is that what?
Yes.
Not really minutes, but so Beth can
Understand everything.
Oh, well, I'm eating lunch. I can't do it.
And I can't do
I'm on my iPad, which makes it even more difficult.
So what's for lunch?
Is anybody a good typist?
Well, it's not kosher, I'll tell you. It's ham and cheese.
Ham and cheese, okay.
Mine are balinces.
Linses, all right.
Yes.
You know what they call ham in Israel? They call it basar lavan, white meat.
Yes.
Really?
I
Yeah.
heard that, yeah.
I think Yolanda wants to say something.
Pardon me?
Yolanda?
Yolanda. Oh, she's with us. Okay.
Yeah, but she's on.
Yeah, I'm Yolanda's here.
Hi, Yolanda. Good to hear your voice. Good to hear your voice. All right.
Are we ready?
Are we in? Is Andre going to be with us in case we
No,
have technical?
I'm the host.
You're the host. Okay.
Uh,
I'd like to welcome everybody. This is our second Sisterhood meeting on the third Monday of every month. And now I will turn it over to our program chairman, Shari Young.
All right, I'm going to type a little bit.
You're unmuted.
Welcome, everybody. This is a new thing for us. Sorry, we don't have lunch again. I'll briefly say we are going to do a bring your own, not bring your own. We're going to provide break the fast.
Eat your own lunch.
Wants to pick it up. Anyway, welcome, and now I'm going to turn this over to Judy.
Judy just sent it to you.
Okay. We would like to have Rabbi Shelly Moss. He is our person of answers for all of our questions. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Rabbi.
Okay. So I put together some thoughts I'd like to lay out before we get into a conversation. Okay. First of all, it's quite obvious that we are suffering. And Judaism, our historic tradition, understands suffering, and we meet it by saying it's real, suffering is real, and we resolve to oppose it, resist it, and we hold tight to the belief that we can triumph over suffering. And if you look back, we are part of the most resilient people on the planet. Our entire story, our master story, of course, is the Exodus story, where we move from narrow places to wider spaces, to where we are constricted, and then we move toward the promised land.
Oh, wow.
Really, truly understanding the Torah is to understand that it's a record of
Oh, wait a minute. I need to unmute you, please, Rabbi. Okay. Just a minute. Okay.
I think I'm muted now.
Good.
Okay. All right. So our Torah, if you understand its historical embeddedness, records the communities in crisis. And for 4,000 years, episodically, we faced periods of great volatility and anxiety and uncertainty. There is a lachrymose, a very sad view of Jewish history that we just moved from one crisis to the next crisis to the next crisis. But there have been periods where we've enjoyed great stability and safety, and then periods where we haven't. We're in a position now, obviously, where the good old days, when we look back, we won't remember these as good old days. We're presently facing the wilderness of the unknown, just like our ancestors faced the wilderness. And the only thing we have structurally, individually, in terms of the Jewish community, in terms of our own heart and mind, is the ability that we can hope and envision the promised land, but we still face the wilderness of how we're going to get there. Right now, we are restructuring the whole Jewish world, institutionally, organizationally, and it's a period of great loss. It's not the first time our temples have been closed to us. In 586, before the Common Era, the Babylonian exile, we were kicked out of Israel. We lost our center. And for 70 years, we were in Babylonia before we could come back, rebuild the temple again, enjoy the empire that we built around the temple. And then in the year 70 of the Common Era, 656 years later, after we got back from the Babylonian exile, the Romans came in, destroyed our empire, destroyed the temple again. And Jewish history records how we can survive and perhaps even thrive in the loss of a certain center, the center that makes us feel secure and known and that we can rely on. Today, COVID-19 is ravaging us. It's killing people left, right, and center. It hits our physical safety. It also hits our spiritual safety and our psychological safety. The very meaning of our lives is being challenged. And our temple, we can no longer gather in great numbers or gather at all in the place that brings us solace and meaning and where we're together. Hence, we're meeting all on Zoom. And the temple has always been the place where we afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted, where we learn, where we are challenged, where we grow, where we connect, and that's not available. So as an individual and as a rabbi and as a PhD in psychology, I work a lot on trauma. Since I've left the temple, I've done a lot of postdoctoral work on trauma, very interested in it. And what is trauma? The trauma that we're going through now is a trauma. A trauma is a response of our body and our psyche and our spirit to being overwhelmed. When we are overwhelmed, we suffer trauma. It has a biological reality to it. We are wired neurologically, just like any other animal, any other mammal, basically, to face threat by either fighting, fleeing, or playing dead, the immobility response. And this is where trauma comes in. we all know fight or flee, you know, put up a fight or run away. But when you're overwhelmed, the immobility response kicks in. And as a psychologist, I'll tell you a lot about how we can cope with that. Let me give you an example of this immobility response. Imagine that there's a cheetah chasing an impala through the savannah, okay? And the cheetah thinks he's going to have lunch. The impala wants to not die. And the fight of flee is ongoing. I mean, the impala just takes off. He knows he can't fight the cheetah, so he runs and flees. And at a certain point, the impala can't outrun the cheetah, and he's attacked. When you can't fight, when you can't flee, you play dead. Why does the impala, you know, give up and play dead, just drop? Because the impala figures, I can't outrun this cat, and there's a chance if I just play dead, he'll drag me off under a tree someplace and then try to go get his, he may wound me, but he'll try to get his cubs to come and feast on the kill. And while he's getting the cubs to come over and eat me, I can escape. So fight, flee, or the immobility response. A polar bear, imagine this, a polar bear is being chased by a helicopter, and in the helicopter, there are scientists who want to shoot a dart into the polar bear, numb it out, get it to stop running, and then go down and insert a tag so they can tag the polar bears, you know, and know what's happening because they're going extinct, know their patterns. If you watch that on like National Geographic or something, you'll notice that when the polar bear wakes up, it goes through a kind of a spaz attack. It's, you know, it moves, it shakes very quickly. If you were to film that with a camera and then play it back in slow motion, you would see that what the polar bear is trying to do is complete his run. The feet are going really fast because now the drug is worn off, the polar bear is awake, and he's trying to get back, he's trying to shake it off. Shake off the immobility. Trying to finish his escape. The human body also goes through an immobility response in trauma. And I think that trauma is probably 80% biological and 20% psychological. Let me explain what I mean. We are now immobilized. We can't be together. Some of us have been in the same room, in the same house for 4 or 5 months, and it looks like we're going to be here for a longer time as we're just being ravaged by COVID. We have to trust our bodies to do the shake-off of the immobility response. And sometimes that means that your body will start doing things, shaking, moving, fluttering, and we don't like that. Now, the polar bear doesn't mind, or the cheetah doesn't mind to do the shaking and whatever, but we feel out of control when we do that. So there may be times where actually in our bodies we begin to flutter or shiver or shake or want to move, want to go. That's us, our bodies trying to shake off the immobility. So there's a level at which animals do this better than we do. And it builds up in us. And in trauma, very often, we don't allow ourselves the neurological release, and people blame themselves for their immobility response. This is very, very critical. How can I put this? This is very delicate. This is very delicate. And when I work with people on historical trauma, it's very, very complex work. For instance, we've all had traumas in our lives, and every child who goes to school gets a trauma. Now, what your brain learns and your neurological system records is that you can be traumatized. Someone says something nice, not nice to you you get a fight in the schoolyard, or your mother or your father says, and then there's a repair, So your body learns that after a threat and an assault, I can shake it off and come down, and like coaches will say, walk it off, get out and blow off steam. There are some people for whom the answer to my following question is no. Here's the question. Did you feel safe? Who were the people you felt safe with? 70% of people on average can list the people that they felt safe with growing up. Safe harbor, a mother, a father, a coach, a brother, an older sister, someone who comforted them, someone they felt safe with. It's that basic. Who did you feel safe with? For around 30% of people, that answer is no one. That's trauma. That's early trauma. It can happen pre-verbal trauma. Even babies who are traumatized will have this response and not know what to do with their immobility. They can't fight, they can't flee, so part of them kind of goes dead. For people who have never felt safe, times like this, where we really don't feel safe, travels all the way back down to childhood responses to trauma. And again, this is very delicate work, and it doesn't apply to everybody. For about 30% of people who've been abused or neglected or tortured or traumatized, this is a particularly hard time, because it's not just happening in 2020. It's memories in your emotional bank of when you were traumatized. Could be when you're 7 years old, 10 years old, whatever. If you've had a blemished, if you didn't choose your parents correctly, that kind of thing. It's triggers in 2020, 2000, and now go all the way back, decades and decades and decades, and falls on a neurological pattern of fear and loss that is, for us, core. What happens to people, and now I'm speaking only about the 30% who said that they rarely felt safe or never felt safe as a child, they get stuck in an internal battle between feeling hopeless, terribly hopeless, and covering up that hopelessness with self-loathing, hating themselves for their immobility response. Blame themselves. This is somewhat like, it's a survival strategy. Children often develop this. And what we're encountering in ourselves, if you feel this way, if you have a traumatized upbringing, we meet the survival strategy that we developed as children. And that's embedded deep in our neurological pattern, and it takes some real care and tender work to resolve. Part of that's biologically shaking it off, and part of it is looking at, well, as an infant or as a child, I needed to survive. So this is what I did. Now, what happens is it works very much like imagine an electric wire that has a current running in it, and if you bring it next to another electric wire, the current from one wire will jump over and be picked up by the second wire. An abused child, a neglected child, a tortured child, an unsupported, unsafe childhood, what happens is the shameful activity of the perpetrator gets sucked up and carried by the victim. And so it's called carried shame. And it is, so carried shame, self-loathing, and helplessness. For many people, and I would say about 30% of the people we're dealing with that you meet on the street have these memories of trauma being stirred now by the trauma that we're going through. So we need to understand this. We also need to understand that as family trauma trickles down from one generation to another, and also cultural trauma, you know, the Holocaust, the First and Second World War, the Spanish flu, the Korean War, the Vietnamese War, the collapse of the economic system in '08. All these things, they're felt and they're absorbed in our neurological systems. So that's the bad news. The good news is that we can recognize these preconditions of trauma and remedy them now, today, and ease the burden we suffer today, and ease the child or the early suffering of childhood by understanding and allowing the traumatized feelings to emerge, to be understood, to be resolved, and integrated. There's certain preconditions for trauma that are absolutely happening to us today. The first I've spoken about is the immobility response, where you got to shake it off or you blame yourself for it. The next one is, oh, by the way, a good remedy for that is activating your body in some way. Breathing exercises, yoga, Tai Chi, any kind of physical release will help us cope with the fears and the grief that are all around us today. The second great feature of trauma is it deeply affects connection, attachment. It creates attachment disorders. A lot of the trouble that people have that come to in my office and everybody else's office, who's a psychologist working with folks, are dealing with the hangover and the residue of attachment disorder, where you can't attach. Well, for instance, give me an example, a child whose parents are perpetrators, but also their parents. They want to connect, but they can't. So they have to stop. So it's like having a traumatized person has their foot fully on the gas pedal and fully on the brake all the time. They want to connect, but how can I connect to a source, a parent who's also the one who's abusing me? This is very delicate and very healable work, but it's very, very deep. Loss of connection. The worst place in a prison is solitary confinement. You get busted for something in prison, they put you in solitary. No one wants to be in solitary confinement. Why? Because it's a complete loss of connection. And we are a dialogic species. We're herd animals. We're supposed to be in community. So losing connection or attenuated connection, attachment disorder, is very, very harsh. Very harsh indeed. So the two preconditions I've talked about so far is immobility and the loss of connection. Now, we're going through a plague. Think back to 1918. They didn't even have telephones. They didn't have Zoom. They didn't have Netflix. They didn't have secure sources of clean water or food at the supermarket that could be delivered. You know, my God, what we're going through is tough, but boy, think back to that 3 or 4 year plague that happened in 1918. I mean, this is after, or during the First World War. What our parents and grandparents lived through, my God, what we're going through now looks like child's play, because we can reach out. I can see your smiling faces. You can see my face. The third feature of trauma is helplessness, and I spoke about that before. In helplessness, we can kind of numb out, And here's the danger of sitting in front of the TV, just kind of using it as becoming narcoticized by watching it play after movie after movie after movie, or turning to drugs and alcohol to numb out from that feelings of helplessness. The remedy for us, what works, is to try to find words to meet your internal experience, to be able to talk about it to someone who cares, to name the experience. Remember, the first thing that happened in the Torah for human beings is Adam and Eve had to name the animals. You had to come to terms with it. So coming to terms with that feeling of helplessness. So if you have it's good to play a musical instrument. It's good to move your body, and it's good to speak from your own soul, if you're part of that 30% who never felt safe, to the child within, to speak from your soul to the parts of self that got locked away long ago, to bring them out, to tell them you're their advocate now, and to embrace them. This is much like getting a psychological baby Bjorn and carrying around the damaged parts of ourselves and giving them the love and the concern and naming what they feel and comforting them. And we can do that. And if you do that, it redesigns and realigns our neurological systems and brings us back to a level playing field. A fourth part of trauma is the loss of a sense of a positive future, a sense this is going to last forever, that terrible timelessness of that trauma breeds. And a good remedy for that is to simply meditate, to just sit and breathe and notice that feelings and thoughts keep changing over and over again, that an idea comes up and it floats away, and another idea comes up and floats away, and you get an idea of wow, in Hebrew we say gamze ya'avor, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. And that gives you a sense that the despair doesn't last forever. It can indeed be met, named, and go away, and then you're okay. The final precondition of trauma is a loss of safety. And that this is very important, because what we're trying to do is reestablish as much safety psychologically and biologically as we can during these times. I always give out this number of 1-800-799-SAFE, and it's or the hotline.org, because there are people who are being locked up with other people, and they're feeling traumatized, and they'll turn not toward each other, but they'll turn on each other. There's a lot of child abuse and spousal abuse, and this is a great danger. So we need to reestablish as much safety and comfort as possible. If you're alone, living alone, it's hard to get a cuddle. But I know that just yesterday I was with 3 women, one of whom husband I just buried, and she has taken 2 other widows with her in her home. They meet, they all alone, individually in their individual homes, but they meet and they play mahjong 4 or 5 hours a day, and that's where they get their cuddle. That's where they get their sociability. The idea of reestablishing comfort and safety is critical. So this is a big loss. And the arc of grief is understood very well by Judaism. We know that grief goes through stages. Many people think I'm grieving my loss and, oh, it feels terrible. But, it's been a couple of weeks and I'm feeling better. Grief is not linear. It doesn't go in a straight line. We have to expect regressions. If you were to arc out grief, loss, coming up, oh, Shiva, an immediate death, and then the burial, and then Shiva, and then Shloshim 30 days after that. And then every time we say Yortzeit, we remember Yisker, we remember a little bit. Our tradition understands that there are times where grief will come back and bite us again. And very often we say, I'm feeling better. Why am I crashing now? Well, you just drove by the restaurant that you and your friends or you and your husband used to eat at, and it's triggering you, and up swells the grief again. So before I open this up and answer questions or engage in dialogue with you, and thank you for being patient, while I'd kind of lay out the scientific and psychological and spiritual aspects of what we're going through. And it sounds dire because it is. And I've offered these remedies of what we can do for the preconditions of trauma. I want you to understand that it's critical that we name what we're feeling, and that we share how difficult this time is, and also the hope that we belong to a very resilient people. We've been getting up off the ground after we've been knocked down for 4,000 years. And there is loss, but there's also great creativity. If we look back in Jewish history, after every calamity, there's been a burst of Jewish creativity, scholarship, writing, invention of new ways of doing things. We're in the midst of trying to figure out, how to run a temple and how to run a Jewish school, and when I meet with clients, it's all on Zoom. I can't ever press the flesh or shake hands or catch all. We're reinventing something now because these are the exigencies that we have to deal with. So there is pain, there is suffering, of course. There's also creativity that is emerging. So let's open this up. I've talked enough. I'd like to hear how you guys are coping and what strategies are working the best for you. I hope maybe laying out the fact that we are being traumatized will give you some understanding of the depths of the feeling that's going on. And also for those who never felt safe, this is a double burden and an opportunity to go back and heal the wounded children within us. Does anybody have yeah, Joan?
As you know, I have pain.
Yeah.
Pain has exacerbated terribly in the past month. And intellectually, I know that this will go away, but I can't seem to be able to cry about it. I want to remove it from me, and I can't, but I just want to, I want it to end, and it will end when it wants to end.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. A catharsis, an unburdening of the burden.
Yes.
It allows just to be able to name it, your internal experience that you want desperately to find relief. Now, the relief comes from self-compassion, where you say to yourself, okay, I don't have to pretend, I don't have to put on a smiling face for the whole human race,
Right.
I like everybody else who with preconditions are really being challenged now. And we may not be able to do much for the physiological pain, but we certainly can do something for the sense of that you're not the only one. Everyone's underlying conditions are being exacerbated and stirred by this. And I'm very sorry for your pain, Joan. I know that even under good times, you were challenged. So,
Yes, yes. And I just wish there was oh, honey, can you get me a glass of water, or somebody do something, and my cat hasn't done it yet.
yeah. Well,
Thank you.
by the way, that humor that you just said, you know, it's a terrible situation to be alone in this situation, in this crisis. But a joke about it takes the edge off just a bit.
I say to a friend, at least I can laugh. Laughing is so, it's more important than popping a pain pill.
It is. Oh, by the way, neurologically, it changes. It takes the stress hormones, the residual of our stress hormones that builds up in our body and releases them. I have found on a channel that just flipping channels, Comedy Central's Shuffle. It's on Comedy Central, and it's the Shuffle, and it's one comedian after another telling a joke, and after about 4 or 5 of them, it's just remember, we're looking for a physiological release, a shake off, and so tune into as much comedy as you can.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Oh my goodness, that will relieve some stress, because there's a whole lot of rich comedians out there doing all kinds of wonderful, funny things. Anybody else? How are you coping?
Rabbi, it's Judy.
Yeah.
I've been through a lot of different things in my life, various different things in my life. And so I deal with myself because I talk to myself. And I tell myself what to do. Not always do I follow it, but I do try. There is somebody that I try to say this to and give suggestions. And I see that it's maybe one thing is working, maybe 3 things are not working. And I don't want to be a pest and keep nudging, but how do you do something like that for somebody?
I like the fact that you're talking to yourself compassionately. No, really. I mean, we need truckloads of self-compassion, because we are really suffering. We're losing. It's very disorienting, and we're facing the wilderness, only hoping for the promised land, to use all my Jewish metaphors. So actually talking to yourself, when I say coming from our sense of self, our soul, to our wounded parts, we speak from our soul to our soul, our sense of our deepest self speaks to the wounded parts, for the wounded parts. I mean, it comes down to, like, you'll be wandering around and you'll say, all of a sudden you get this, I'm hungry. And it sounds like a baby or a child. I'm hungry. And you literally say to yourself, sweetheart, you know, dinner's soon, okay? I understand. Right now I'm in the car. I'm going someplace to the market, you know. I'll get it. And you speak to your inner child or the inner children, and honestly, it's what they've been waiting for. All the little wounded parts of ourselves have been waiting for the captain of the ship to show up.
Rabbi,
take care of them.
it's Marcia. Hi.
Marcia, yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to tell you, there's a couple people in our congregation. One of them is on the meeting here. Well, like, Evelyn has gone back to her watercolor painting. Yes. Brenda has taken up the ukulele.
Right.
And with me, I find if I structure my day, so when I get up, I have a plan of what I'm going to do. And in the afternoon, I let myself, I'm more of a morning person. I let myself relax. I either read a book or I'll watch something on streaming TV. And so, I mean, I don't know how Friday after Friday keeps coming so fast. I turn around and it's services again tonight. You know, how did that happen? But what I do feel like is like it feels like a waste. It's not that I would be running around going to shows and shopping and doing all that much different than I am in the house. And I try to talk to people on the phone and etc. But it feels like a waste of time somehow in the long run. Like, I should be able to do more. Maybe I should take up writing. I don't know. You feel like you want to make some sort of use. Our houses are all clean. We've all cleaned our closets and our drawers, and there's just so much we can possibly do, you know. But you feel like you want to have more of something more utilitarian about the whole thing, at least for me, you know.
Well, we spent our lives going and doing and creating and making good things happen, and especially those involved in the temple, working on this committee, doing this committee, making something happen, and now we can't. And this sense of timelessness is part of trauma, where we say, oh my God, it's another week. It's Shabbos already. And then I have lost days, I'll get up and I'll think, this is Thursday. That's not Thursday. It's Sunday, and I go, wow, it's very disorienting. We are suffering, and having hope for little things matter. To say, oh, there's a class on Zoom, or I'm going to get together and take a hike with so-and-so, a socially distant hike wearing masks or something like that. And you look forward to that. That's a remedy for the timelessness. But this is a waste of time. We are, we're in a pandemic, and we're down for the count here until this gets better. Now, by the way, just about the pandemic itself, I'm in a group with a bunch of scientists and really accomplished fellows, and we meet twice a week and discuss matters. One of the guys is a big scientist, big epidemiologist. Anyways, he says the amount of science that is being generated now, there are 99 very solid scientific programs going on to attack COVID. He's feeling very encouraged. And when he feels encouraged, I feel encouraged. Yeah. B, is that your hand up?
What?
Unmute. It's unmute. No, what I wanted to ask you, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay. Is before you mentioned about physical problems that are coming to the fore. Well, I was wondering, one of my big problems, it is the biggest, is allergy. Well, ever since this started, I'm not digesting my food. I'm off to the allergist 2-3 times a week because the foods I can't eat. My stomach is a mess. Could that be from this?
There's a component of stress, and stress is a very subtle but very pervasive physiological response. Now, going back to the biology of animals, if a deer is threatened, what does the deer do? He darts off, he runs over to another field, and then he shakes it off, and then he puts his head down and he's eating again and grazing. Animals throw off stress better than we do. And it will find the weak link in us and exacerbate that. More back problems, more digestive problems, etc. And so the goal here is to do as much physical. Now, I know that you're a dancer. Do you dance around the house till you're heavy breathing and exhausted?
No, and the pool is too hot for me to swim in. So I don't have my exercise. I usually exercise in the pool every day. I don't have it. And I know that it's going to cool off next week, so I'm looking forward to going back and exercising because I do serious exercise, serious swimming in the pool.
Right.
We dance a little bit, but I don't feel like dancing.
Yeah, it begins this spiral going down. I understand.
I just don't like it. And Steve we're living together and we're doing very well together. But we're not doing much.
We were speaking with Evelyn the other day on our Havara Zoom meeting, and Evelyn, you said that you were finding all kinds of wonderful exercise programs on YouTube that you can do alone, and you can feel. I can't state this enough. Trauma is much more biological than it has psychological devastating effects, but it's much more biological because we don't do the shake off as well as animals do. So the ability to move and even chair yoga, something that will raise our heartbeat, move us around, and help us throw off the stress so it doesn't get internalized as much.
Yeah, but I don't feel like doing it. That's my problem. And I'm a very active person
I know.
ordinarily.
But
But
we
I'm
have to break that cycle. Let's fake it till you make it. You know, get up, do a dance. Okay, let's do it. I don't feel like that. Oh, right about 10 minutes into it, you start going, oh, you know, my body's changing a little bit here. I'm
It
starting.
is.
I'm starting to feel a little relieved. And then the next time you get up and dance around the house, but really do it. You know, the temple offered Tai Chi classes, and that's where I learned it. And it takes 18 minutes to do the 108 forms. And when I'm really in a funk, you know, 18 minutes later, I'm not in a funk. So please, whatever physical, you can even do resistance exercises, you know, even pushing against yourself, using your muscles. And if you ever find that your muscles begin to flutter or you get emotional, something starts to shake, that's your body. That's your body throwing off trauma. So go allow that. Trust that your body knows what to do.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yeah, try to reinstate your exercise as much as possible. Because that you've always had that as a catharsis, you know. It's the kind of emotional catharsis that Joan is talking about. You know, I want to just cry, get it out, you know, unburden.
Thank you. I do that.
Anybody else have how you?
Do you want to?
Yeah. Evelyn, you're still muted. Evelyn, we can't hear you.
Unmute.
While Evelyn's unmuted, I want to say something very important to our discussion here. There's a trap that we can fall into, which is called compare and despair. You say, oh, these other people, they're as good as they look. I'm as bad as I sometimes feel. We're all in this together. It's eking away at us like battery acid on all of us. Everyone's struggling. So please, please don't compare yourself. Oh, well, so-and-so is doing better than I am. Everyone's burdened. The best thing to do is speak it, come to terms with it. If it's old, ancient burden, address it and tell that little kid that you're here to take care of it. Yeah. Evelyn, you're still, no, she's still muted. No, Evelyn's still muted.
Sorry, you need to unmute.
Can you unmute Evelyn? No, we're still having trouble getting unmuted.
Sorry, what if you unmute everybody?
Yeah, unmute everyone. Unmute all, it will be.
Let's see. I have to find it.
It's usually at the bottom on the left.
Oh, mute, yeah.
Mute and unmute.
Unmute.
No, we're still. By the way, every Zoom meeting I've been in with people over 50, this becomes a problem. Little kids.
All right, now everybody's unmuted except.
It's all unmuted.
No,
No, we're not.
Oh, it's going away. No, well, this.
People that unmuted themselves are now muted. All right, Evelyn, you're on.
Marilyn came on.
Evelyn, go to the bottom left.
Evelyn, we don't hear you.
We're not hearing you, sweetheart.
Yes, she is.
All right, it's on the bottom of your screen on the far left.
Try it.
We're all unmuted.
We'll start. While Evelyn's searching for that button and getting it, and anybody else, tell us how you're doing.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Yes, Marilyn.
Yes, Rabbi. I have found just recently that one of the most pleasant times I spend during the day is not just on the phone talking to someone, but FaceTiming them. The FaceTiming with my kids has made a huge difference.
It does.
It does.
I agree. It's a blessing because remember, we're a dialogic species. What happens is you look, you see the people's face. I'm teaching Hebrew to all my 5 grandchildren, preparing them for bar bat mitzvah, and I look forward to it. I mean, to see their smiling face means so much. So, Marilyn, tell us more about.
Well, I paint too. I paint every day, and I've been painting for many years, but now I'm painting maybe 7, 8 hours a day.
Excellent.
Off and on, because I don't know what else to do. I don't even want to turn the TV on anymore. But this contact with my kids and my grandchildren has been phenomenal with the FaceTime, and it's just been such a blessing. I miss my kids in Iowa tremendously because I haven't seen them in a long time, and I have a very sick son there, and I'd like to be there. And since I can't be, being on FaceTime with him is a closeness that is so meaningful.
Right. It's almost like 55% of what we need.
Yes.
You know,
and
being able to hug is one thing, but
I exercise also. I use the videos. They are fabulous. There are a lot of videos online for seniors, and Sig can't keep up with me because of his legs. So he's got an exercise that he does sitting down regularly. That's helping him a lot. And I walk early in the morning, like 5:15, 5:30, and if I miss that,
oh, it's not good.
Not good. No, it's something I need. I need to get outside. I haven't seen, no one's been in my home. My kids won't even come in. They drop my daughter makes challah for Friday nights all the time, and she'll drop some slices off or a half a challah. And she brings it to the garage. She's wearing a mask and she's 10 feet away from us because she is so concerned about the virus. She's a doctor, and her husband is a doctor who is in contact with people who have COVID, so they keep their distance. And
as well they should, yes.
Yes, in fact, the other day someone came to my door and I ran out, and I had been on the phone with her, and she got alarmed, and she was going to call the police to see what happened. But anyway, she said, "Did you remember?" This was the other important part. She said, "Did you remember to put a mask on?" I said, "No." And she was flabbergasted. She said, "You can't leave that house without a mask on." And so far, I hope everyone is wearing their masks.
Yeah, there's an old midrash that about men sitting in a boat, about 10 men sitting in a boat, and one pulls out a drill and starts drilling a hole in the boat underneath his seat, and everybody else in the boat says, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm only drilling it under my seat."
He's only drilling it under.
Rabbi, Evelyn is unmuted now.
Evelyn, tell us.
Am I unmuted now?
Now you
Yes.
Hear you crystal
okay.
clear.
No, well, actually, Marilyn covered part of what I was going to ask, but it's interesting. Fortunately, I'm not plagued by any undue physical disabilities. Thank goodness for that. However, there is in back of my mind always that fear of the isolation will cause a mental deterioration, lacking the stimulation of being with other people and participating in stimulating activities. Yes, I'm too busy around the house, and yes, like Marilyn, I do painting and sketching and that sort of thing, and in each activity is in itself sort of a learning experience.
Frozen, but seeing everyone else in.
That, but what I'm always afraid that at some point I will lose my mental alertness. What do you feel that we can do to maintain this? I'm always concerned that, oh God, I'm going to sink into senility and I'll never recover.
Right.
Well, again, this is loss. This is the suffering that we're going through, and we have to acknowledge it. And by the way, I'll tell you this as a rabbi and a psychologist. The deepest fear humans have is the fear of death, the fear of parts of us dying, too. And that's the mother lode, and it ramifies out into other kinds of fears and concerns. So a loss of mental acuity, I mean, it's important to say, I'm afraid, you know. I even had an experience, just an example of the ambivalence that we all have. I got off the phone with my son, but we were about to eat dinner, and I kind of rushed that conversation, and I enjoyed speaking with him, but it was time to put the food down, and I got really sad, and I said, why am I eating? I should just eat up the time with him, you know. Just suck it up. So I had the joy, and then I had the worry that, oh, I cut off the conversation too soon. So all this ambivalence, all these concerns are absolutely legitimate. Now, what can we do about it? We're doing it right now. We're talking, we're sharing, we're grieving, we're learning about trauma, you know, and as we're being traumatized. And there's a sense of our common brotherhood and sisterhood going on here. You know what happens when two people meet and it doesn't matter what they're talking about. Like you said, one guy meets another guy who's really into baseball, and they'll go off and they'll talk for 45 minutes. It's not about baseball. They're into this reciprocal, reinforcing, social, blah, you know, back and forth and back and forth. And that's what we're missing. So the more we can establish these kinds of connections electronically is what we need to do. But it's absolutely normal to say, I'm afraid of going senile, or I'm afraid of my body just, you know, collapsing into pain. Yes. Now, fear is spelled F-E-A-R, meaning fantasized experiences appearing real. Fantasized experience appearing real. And it's very common to go all the way to the worst. You know, it's not that I have a little crick in my back. Hey, it's cancer and it's this, and you know, it maximizes, it aggrandizes in our mind. You know, honestly, Evelyn, you're one of the most mentally alert people I've ever met. I think if you have a diminishment of 5 to 7%, you still will have a good, strong, you know. But I understand the fear.
Can I add another fear definition, which is face everything and recover?
Face everything. Oh, I love it. Give me chill.
That's good.
That is good.
Yeah.
We, like Adam with the animals, we face it, we name it, and it helps us recover from it. Yeah. By the way, personal expressivity. When Marilyn's painting 7 hours a day, what is she doing? She's expressing. You know, when you're playing the ukulele, or when I'm puffing into my harmonica, it's personal expressivity. This is breaking the immobility and moving forward. Keep in mind the image of the deer being chased, running away, escaping, going to another field, bending down, all relaxed, nibbling at the grass. We need to be able to do that. Yeah, Sharon.
Yeah, I'm one of the ones that can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm one of the ones that never stays home. I'm always running. Yeah. But now in the last couple of months, I've done jigsaw puzzles. I've read almost a book every day.
Oh, God.
I get bored if I don't go to the grocery store or something. I just go in my car and I'll just drive around. Just to get out with my mask on, just to see people. And I do Sudoku puzzles, and I speak to friends all over. I have one friend in England and people in New York, New Jersey, and it's just something to get me to do something. Or else, because sometimes I get depressed, I could sleep all day. And then when it comes to like 4 o'clock, I'm saying, what happened? What did I do today? I didn't do anything. So that's how I get around. Hi,
Yeah.
Rob.
By the way, grief is very depressing.
Yeah.
And coping with depression is, we're sharing witticism. By the way, Sherry, I really like your face and response.
Yeah.
Can you say that again? I just forgot. Face
everything and recover.
Face everything and recover. Okay. Yeah, Lorraine and Bert.
What?
You started to say something. So when you speak, it comes up. Did you have anything you wanted to share?
Oh, well, when my dad, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, when my dad first retired many, many years ago, and if ever anyone I thought would do great in retirement, it was my dad. Because if he had his dog, his cigar, and a book, he was happy. Wrong. He said every day feels like Sunday and I can't stand it. I could not believe. I understand now. Every day for the first few months felt exactly the same. It felt like a weekend day and I was just coasting along. I find what perks me up are several things. One is when my grandson, especially the oldest one, calls. I never know he's going to call. He never used to call. And he always brings something of his youthful life and joy into our life. It's priceless. I also find people are connecting with us from old neighborhoods and old friends, and I find that that's great. But I also find on the negative side, sometimes I just get filled with sadness. It's the best word to use. It's not depression. It's just
grief.
A feeling, I don't know if it's grief. It's just a feeling of sadness.
Yeah.
And it goes away, thank God, but it's horrible when it's there.
Yeah.
Is that normal? That sadness?
It is. I have found myself, frankly, saying to myself, oh my God, Israel's under attack. American democracy is under attack. We're physically under attack. Judaism is really seriously under attack because we need not only from anti-Semitism, but from how we're going to support our institutions and what are we going to do. And it's like everything I've given my life to is being diminished. And it's like ruining my legacy for myself. And that's very saddening. What's necessary to remember, what I would suggest is that we'll get through this, and the creativity that it's spurning, it will have good outcomes. I mean, synagogues might be virtual, there's more, that's a whole other conversation of what we're going to do. But after every great loss in Jewish history, there has been a burst of messianism where talk and books are written about the good days that are coming, the messianic era. After every tragedy, a great amount of literature emerges about the hopeful good thing that's coming soon, or that we're building towards. When you're in the wilderness, you have to think about the promised land, because that's where we're going. But sad, and it's allow yourself to feel that sadness and say you're not the only one who's feeling it. We're losing something quite precious. Look, we're losing our building. We've had it for 50 years. It's where we've met. You know, people are beginning to say, and I follow all the rabbis, you know, we talk to each other on a lot, and they're saying, well, what do we need our buildings for? They're expensive, and, you know, now we can't use them. And, you know, so it's this kind of nadir of experience usually creates some kind of a springboard to creativity and to new vitality.
Rabbi?
Yes.
You know, when you're talking about this last conversation, and I'm thinking back to the minyan and what it means to have a minyan, and what it means to have a minyan is to have people together and doing something as a unit together as a community. And so now we're being virtual minions, which is really kind of a hard thing to wrap oneself around, you know?
Oh, it's very harsh. In 1 hour, I have to participate in Rabbi David Davis's funeral.
No, really? I didn't hear what. Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
really?
He had a heart attack last week.
And now
we didn't know
lost
that.
you.
Oh my God!
Now, one of the things when we do a Shiva minyan is we look around at the other 9 people that we're praying with, the basic 9 to make 10. And we realize everybody in this room has felt as crappy as I now presently feel, you know, and we're in it together. And that's the benefit of Judaism, to be able to be communitarian and say, I haven't been singled out for this kind of existential dread. Everyone has felt it. And I'm looking at people around me who have risen up like phoenixes after their loss. You know, we've all had losses in life, and we've also learned resilience. What I'm interested in especially making point of is those people who've never felt safe, and who this really is affecting at core levels, because they have to believe that resilience is possible. And there's a process for doing that, and it's speaking often from a sense of self to the wounded children within us that still live there and have their agenda.
Rabbi?
Yes.
So I'd like to remind you it's just after 1 o'clock if you have another obligation.
Well, yeah, that funeral starts at 2. So for me in Utah, it'll be at 3.
Rabbi,
but if we're done, we're done. But
you're having a virtual funeral. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're doing it at the National Temple that he. By the way, can I say something about bad news? I just delivered some. Maybe it looks like many of you didn't know that Rabbi Davis had died.
I had no idea. And we had dinner with him.
I turn off the news after a while.
Really?
I'm a bit of a news junkie, but if your body is only and your psyche is only giving you images of pain over and over and over again, we begin to break down. That's why I turn off the news and turn on comedians. They literally laugh, and it changes the body chemistry. It throws off the cortisol, and it reestablishes a neurological equilibrium. That's why I'm suggesting physical movement, self-compassion, physical, artistic expression, to get it out of our bodies in some way.
Yeah. Rabbi?
Yes.
You mentioned something where you've discussed with rabbis where they're saying, well, we have Zoom services. What do we need the congregation, the building for and everything? I don't want Zoom services forever.
Nobody.
They're nice in the interim, but I don't want that. What I have enjoyed is a lot of the theater, a lot of the museums have put online wonderful virtual tours. My grandchildren have gone to Venice, have gone to Paris. The British Theater has put on things. I watched a few plays. That has been wonderful. The artistic community in the States has done it, and I'm enjoying that. But I miss the physical connection. I mean, I bought a car, and when the deal closed, I couldn't even shake hands with the deal. It was like an incomplete transaction because we just sort of lifted our elbows up and said, thank you very much, and I walked out. But it's I hope people will wear their masks, that the numbers will go down. And while things will not go back completely to the way they were, I'm sure of it, but let's get some semblance of what we had with the physical. And I also attended a virtual Zoom funeral this morning, and it's sad, but it's a way for people to go, and then there'll be a virtual shiva tonight, and I can pay my respect. But it's just very different.
It is.
What's her name?
Diane?
Yeah, it's really a time of reflection as well as really making decisions as to what you're going to do. And I've been reorganizing. I've been busy every day, all the time. I'm taking Zoom classes. We're going to services on Friday night. And we've done it virtually, all of this, and even the book club this last week. So, I have been, believe it or not, quite busy because I have a lot of children to keep up with. So I'm pretty blessed. It has not been, I feel so bad about the people that are ill from this and that are passing away. And, we lost Elaine Gilbert early on. And Elaine and I saw a lot of one another when I was at the guide dog campus, because she lived right across the street, and I'd walk over in the evening and have coffee with her or dinner or whatever. It has changed our world, but we do have to keep busy and keep positive. It's just really important to be really positive. And the Shema really helps me. I have to say, every morning and every night, the Shema is an important part of my life.
There's a wonderful line in Psalms. It's Amakim Karatichaya. It's out of my deepest depths that I call unto you, O God. And we often don't get into our deepest depths. This is pretty damn deep.
Yes, it is.
And prayer and unburdening ourselves to God, who put us here, and is available for comfort. Sometimes that's the last, the only, but the best comfort.
Like that. Yeah.
We cannot pretend, again, as I said in the beginning, Judaism says recognize the suffering, resist it, and say that one day we will triumph over it. And that's been our motto for 4,000 years. We're a strong people this way. And I just am very deeply concerned about those for whom this is triggering early bells, and want to hopefully offer insights and support for those folks, because it's triply hard for them. Yeah.
Okay, Rabbi, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. We all needed this tremendously, and just be safe and do what you're telling us to do.
I am. And I'll leave you with my fastest, quickest, newest joke.
Okay.
And Marcia liked this one at our Chavurah. Is a priest and a minister and a rabbit walked into the bar, and the rabbit looked around and said, "I think I'm a typo."
Cute.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Say hi to Laura.
Remember, you're not alone. Yeah.
Take care. Travel safe.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Thanks for sending the link.
Diana, it's good to see you.
The Sisterhood news is that On the 31st of July, we are being given the honor of doing the Friday night Shabbat service.
Oh.
So if there is some reading that you would like to do, or an aliyah, or a prayer, or anything that you'd like to do, you have to notify Rabbi Kaplan on the 28th. It has to be no later than the 28th for the 31st of July's Shabbat service.
So the previous Monday or something like that, yeah.
The 28th, you need to let him know, and then
At the latest.
31st. Also at this time, sad news, we lost a very special person with Sheila Cohn.
Yeah, she was
Our artist that made the beautiful birthday and anniversary cards, hand painted by herself. And we will continue using her cards because Ray Bolnick is going to take over sending them out to all of our sisterhood members who have a birthday or an anniversary. Also at this time, I know this is being recorded, so I would like to thank Andre Ivory for all of his help getting us up and running on Zoom for sisterhood meeting. And all that I would like to say is that we all have to stay safe and take care of ourselves.
Yes.
Anybody you know that is not doing it right, we need to inform that they need to start doing it right, because that's all we have is Zoom. And we have to stay connected.
Yeah.
Can I say something? You know, I was talking to Brenda. She had a doctor's appointment this morning and couldn't make it. And she's having surgery tomorrow, by the way, on her knee. She told me that a friend of hers asked if she played mahjong with the group at Portobello in their community room over there. And she said no. And she said that the wife, one of the players' husbands in that mahjong group died of COVID. So you have to be really careful when you go out there and try to be, you know, associate with other people, because you don't know where they've been, and you don't, you've got to really, really be careful, you know?
That's what we were talking about today. Yeah.
I mean, I know we're all stuck home. I know we all have certain things, that doctor's appointments, the grocery store. But again, if we all stay safe, that when the time comes, we will be able to see each other, you know, together.
Right. Yes.
Anytime anybody wants to give, I'm sure anybody of the whole group here, you want to give us, one of us a call because you just need to talk, just do it, you know?
Yeah.
Good idea,
You know?
Marcia. Good idea.
You
Yeah.
know?
It's nice to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly with me, and I'm sure everyone else is of the same mind, you know?
Yeah.
But it is nice that many of us are reconnecting with old friends
Yes.
we haven't heard from for a while. And not that you don't think about them, they're in your thoughts, but maybe once a year you get in touch. But this is nice to really kind of catch up.
It is. Talking of catching up, Diane, are you up in Prescott or are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be up here just coming down for doctor appointments on occasions. And, you know, I'm still having eye issues, so I have an eye appointment that's going to be extensive, but Bill has some appointments, and so we'll be down for 2 days and then back up here.
Okay.
Be careful when you stop to eat out or anything.
Oh, we don't. We haven't eaten out since January.
No, I haven't even gotten, I think once I had food delivered here because I don't know where that food has been.
That's right. And
The
you don't know
packaging.
Who touched it? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know who packed it and just what. You know, it's amazing. You have to be careful. So, yeah. And so are you, everybody staying in town, or where is everybody?
Well, I'm in town. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
I'm not
Dan,
going
where?
just hunkering down. This is the first summer in 20 years that I
That
haven't
you've
gone.
been down. Yeah. Shari?
You see what it's like for the rest of us, Jan. This is a cool day out there, right? I've got up this morning,
granddaughter grew up.
88 out.
Okay, girls, I always have a dream, okay, that I can get in the car and I can drive myself all the way to that huge shopping center off of I-10 on the way to you know, on the way to LA. I know I could do that.
Yes, yes.
I dream about it, you know.
Tabazon, yes.
Yes.
Right outside of Palm Springs, right.
Yeah. I'd love to be able to do it. And I know if I was in the slow lane.
But then you'd have to be in a store with people, and the stores are probably closed.
I know.
So
Yeah.
forget about it.
I'm just kidding about it. But it would be nice.
Diane, where are you going to wear the clothes anyway?
Right.
Yeah.
Not a good point there.
I'm wearing a beach cover up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not dressing up. It's really, and I've made some cute hats, and I'm just dying to wear.
Oh, wear them on your Zoom calls. We'll admire
I
it.
think I will for Shabbat. So I've made some cute ones. Anyway.
Diane, do you want to teach us how to make hats over Zoom?
Why not? I mean, I thought about it. I thought maybe I should offer that, but
We need another meeting idea.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to do it.
A lot of the hats she makes.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I guess you can take a basic hat and then you just need flowers or this or that or
Well,
feathers.
actually, I have taken
Feathers.
yes, but I've taken a couple of well-kept Kuba.
Oh, really?
Made them, yes, adorable ones. They are so cute. And they're in the closet right now, and I'm dying to wear them. I thought I'd wear it for high holidays, but I'll have to do it on Zoom, I guess.
Yes. I think everybody keeps talking about opening up. I'm not going back to the temple building, until I feel comfortable going back.
Bill and I have said the same thing, you know. Yeah.
And that was the overwhelming result from the survey of the information provided to the temple. So
okay, girls, I'm going to go grab these.
Okay. Let's just remember now that in August, our meeting will be, let's see, August the 17th.
Okay.
Now, if anybody has a suggestion for that meeting, please call Shari Young and let her know, because we're always looking for suggestions. Like when we used to have an original board meeting, we would sit down and have everything figured out. Right now, we're winging it.
That's adorable, Diane.
I would like.
Wait, I gotta look, and so I gotta find her. Oh, I see. That's you made a fascinator out of a kippah, huh?
Yeah, and then this one too.
Oh, right. That's so
I
cute.
know. So, you know, they're fun, and the fascinators will just get
I have
there.
a black one in the car because it never got returned. I can go and get it out of my
All right, you got it. Okay, so maybe we should, if you girls want me to, maybe we could do a couple of people would like to do something and show something like that.
Well, you have to tell us what supplies we need up front so we can go on Amazon and pick it up.
Yes. Glue guns. Get a hold of some kippahs, and you know, we'll have fun.
Okay.
For August, so we said Yom Kippur and said Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur's in September. So
Was it towards the beginning or the end? Beginning of the end this year?
In the middle, right in the middle.
The middle, okay.
Right. Well, I want you all to stay careful. If you need anything from the temple, I did put a thing out in the show for August that I would, by appointment only, be at the temple on Wednesdays by appointment only. If you needed to get something, candles or whatever out of the
Good.
on Wednesday by appointment only.
Okay.
By Thursdays or
Wednesdays.
Okay. It's a
Okay.
good idea.
Nancy, I'm glad you made it, Nancy Urbach, because we were talking about whether your appointments and stuff, so I was glad to see you on there.
Yeah. And Shari,
Yes.
if you decide to do the break the fast stuff, I'll help in the kitchen.
We're definitely gonna do it. We'll have.
What?
We'll try to have a flyer in the August show.
How are you gonna do a break the fast?
We're gonna do a pick it up.
Pick it up.
Pick it up and
Take out
Yeah.
breaks.
Take out. carry out. What do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was up in New Hampshire, there was a Chinese place, and it was called Take Me Outie. I always thought it was
I'll be in touch, Sherry.
Okay. All right.
And bye to everyone. It was a wonderful meeting.
it was a nice breakup for the day. And the rabbi was really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go have my lunch.
Keep a smile on your face. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Sherry.
Bye.
Diane.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thanks, Sherry. Hi.
Good week, everybody.
Hey,
Bye.
Lorraine.
Good to see
Thank you,
Jen.
Lorraine, for the email.
Goodbye,
Oh.
you beautiful people. I'll see you all soon
Good to see
again.
you, Diane.
Yeah,
All
stay
right.
well.
Bye-bye, Nancy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
I'm gonna
Bye.
sign us out.
Thanks, Sherry.
I don't even know how to get out of this.
You know, I have
Well,
the
I'm
same
gonna end
problem. I don't know what to press half the time.
It's on the lower right end. And I'm going to end the meeting for all.